Mr. Rodriguez at this point. Ms. Van Dyken.
Thank you, Your Honor. I had listed 5 exhibits for today's hearing. I'd ask the court to mark and admit those if there are no objections.
And I think we established there were no objections, so they are admitted.
Thank you. Ms. Connor, can you bring us up to date? SR is placed in an unrelated licensed foster home, correct?
Yes.
And how is she doing there?
She is doing very well there. She seems to be really bonded with her caregiver. She's involved in therapy. She's up to date with her medical and dental. And she does not appear to have any significant concerns other than that we would like to pursue a trauma assessment based on some past CIs that were called in for sexualized behaviors. But other than that, she is doing very well in her foster home.
Okay. Is there a need other than the trauma assessment for any other services in the counseling?
I do not believe so.
Okay. Let's move on to mother and father. Let's start with Ms. Garcia. What are the barriers for Ms. Garcia and what progress has she made on those?
Yes, I would say emotional stability and parenting skills are her current needs, and domestic violence due to the reasons that the child came into care. She is involved in the YWCA right now. However, there are concerns with lack of follow through for appointments. She hasn't had a therapy appointment, from my understanding, since November. She has been in communication with her therapist. However, there's just been some missed appointments, trouble logging onto the Zoom. So I know the previous worker, Ms. Robles, was trying to eliminate that barrier and see what we could do to help her. She has been referred for a psychological assessment at the HRA. Unfortunately, there were a few missed appointments for that. However, she is scheduled on next week, Wednesday, to go again. As for housing, she's currently living at the Grand Rapids Inn with her partner, Mr. Rodriguez. I believe the previous worker was able to go view the home, and for right now, it is appropriate for them. But we are looking to find more stable housing for when the child is returned.
Specifically at the Y, she's addressing the domestic violence, correct?
Yes.
That would be a significant barrier for both parents to address.
Yes.
Are there any other services warranted for Ms. Garcia at this time?
Yes, she is involved in foster care supportive visitation as well with Mr. Rodriguez. Both parents were recently incarcerated in the month of January, so there was a pause on that, but from my understanding, they did resume those classes on 2/6/2025, so we would like to see them continue with that program. Additionally, we are looking into a community living support partner for Ms. Garcia, just based on concerns with her ability to follow through with things. We don't necessarily know of any disability at this point, but it does appear that she struggles with maintaining appointments and just really being able to follow through on her treatment plan. So we're hoping that would be able to assist her with, maintaining appointments and getting to where she needs to be. We're also going to be looking into SSI for her. She does report that she has epilepsy that impacts her ability to have employment. So we're hoping with that and the psychological, we can pursue the community living support person.
And Ms. Garcia and Mr. Rodriguez are working a treatment plan together, correct?
They are.
Okay. And we've had the discussion with them both about if one fails, they both fail. If they both succeed, they both succeed, correct?
I do believe so. The previous worker, I believe, addressed that, but if not, Ms. Pastor, the current worker, will be addressing that this month.
Okay. Let's move on to Mr. Rodriguez. What are his barriers and what progress has he made on those?
Yes, he has similar barriers as Ms. Garcia: domestic violence, parenting skills, emotional stability, and substance use. So he is involved with the YWCA as well through the, I believe it's like the male version of like the program, the classes that they offer. Similar to Ms. Garcia, though, he hasn't been to many of those sessions from my understanding, but Mr. Klemp, the therapist, is working with him and understands that he's working and has a job. So he is still involved in that. He did successfully complete a psychological assessment, and we received the recommendations for that. It did talk about in there that he is depressed, and it is believed that he's using alcohol to treat that depression. So we are going to be looking into AA classes for him and encourage him to go to that. Additionally, it did talk about some physical discipline that he experienced as a child. So I'm hoping that foster care supportive visitation can maybe talk about that and how, like, moving forward, making sure he's not using that for Sophia or for the child. Substance use, he is testing positive for THC during this reporting period. So we are going to ask that he doesn't engage in that, just with the needs for domestic violence and alcohol use. But he is willing to screen. He does need to complete a substance use assessment. I don't believe that that's been scheduled at this point, but we will work on getting that done for him. He does have employment. He's employed at Shoepan, which I believe is a recycling company. and he's also living at the Grand Rapids Inn as well.
And just to go back, Miss Garcia was also testing positive for THC. Were you going to recommend a substance abuse assessment for her as well?
Yes.
Okay. And I'm sorry, you did say he is employed. Have you gone over budgeting with the two of them?
I believe the previous worker did, because we need that in order to provide gas cards or bus passes, which I know we've provided. So if not, I know that Ms. Pastor can review that in this next month.
Okay. Let's talk about how parenting time goes with each of the parties. Do they do joint parenting times or individual?
They do them jointly. Previously they were doing them separate, but since they're working a treatment plan together, we decided to have them do them together. Overall, they do fairly well. The previous worker reported to me that there is a lot of phone use that's used, so we're trying to work on that. But they are pretty consistent, and they do appear to have a bond.
I read in the reports that SR is very happy to see each of them and greets them appropriately. Anything else regarding the parents or SR at this time that's not contained in your report that the court needs to be made aware of?
I would say if the court is willing to court order a trauma assessment, that would be helpful for us, as I know that they have been rejecting them a lot if they are involved in services. But based on her age, she does appear to know a lot of what's gone on. And I think it would give us a lot of insight. Her therapist did write us a letter asking us to pursue that. So we do have that. But if the court were also willing to, that would be helpful. And then the child does have a brother in Texas that I believe the foster parent is wanting to go do a sibling visit with them. So I would ask the court to allow out-of-state travel if they're willing to include that in the order, just so she could go see her sibling.
And
let me just interrupt. That is not something that the court needs to order. That's up to the agency and MDH agents.
Okay.
And SR does appear to know who her sibling is. She speaks on the phone with him, correct?
Yes.
Okay. What are your recommendations today with regard to SR?
It's respectfully recommended that Sophia remain a temporary court ward under the care and direct care and supervision of the Department of Health and Human Services. The youth remain placed in a licensed foster home or in the home of a relative. Both parents comply and benefit from their parent agency treatment plan. Parenting times remain supervised at the agency at this time, and this matter be reviewed in 90 days.
Thank you. I have nothing further.
Thank you. Ms. Jennings.
Thank you. Ma'am, you said that you had made a referral to community living supports to help with the struggles that Ms. Garcia is having with maintaining her appointments and her follow through. Do you know, has she, when will that service begin for her?
From my understanding, we have to have a diagnosis for that. So we're hoping to be able to use the psychological assessment for that. We have the referral, but they reported that we need additional documents for it. And since she hasn't been to a primary care doctor in a significant amount of time, I don't believe that we have sufficient documents at this time.
And the appointment that she has next week, Wednesday, for the psychological evaluation, is that her third and final appointment offering?
I believe so, yes.
So it's critical that she makes that appointment, correct?
Correct. And I know Ms. Pastor transported her yesterday. We had thought it was yesterday, took her there, and then we found out that it was actually today during our court hearing. So it's rescheduled, and the agency will bring her to make sure that she goes.
Okay. Because it couldn't be rescheduled for a time, and it would just be a missed
correct
opportunity. Okay. All right. And she does seem willing to go to that appointment.
Yes.
All right. Is there anything currently that you're asking her to do that she hasn't at least started?
I think just really focusing on that YWCA therapy. I know she's on the verge of being discharged from that too, due to the lack of follow through. And I think it would be very beneficial for her to actually, engage and benefit from it. So I think that's the main priority right now.
Okay. Thank you. I have no other questions.
Ms. Golden.
Thank you, Your Honor. Ms. Connor, so the domestic violence counseling is also crucial for Mr. Rodriguez, correct?
Correct.
Okay. Is he going to men's choosing alternative to violence as well, or just the group? Or just the counseling?
I believe it's that program. I just couldn't recall the name of it.
Okay. Did you get any? Okay. And you'll let us know how he's doing with that if there's any concerns, correct?
Correct.
Okay. And as far as the THC use, so you're telling him, regardless if it's legal, he should not be using, correct?
Correct.
Okay. And as far as the depression, have you made any referrals for that, like for a medication review or evaluation?
I don't believe the previous worker did. However, it does recommend that in his psychological to have a psych appointment. So Ms. Pastor can follow up with that and help him in any way.
Okay. And have you looked into any family placement for this child?
I believe initially the family finder did look into family. However, they did not want to pursue placement. From my understanding, though, they do visit. I believe there's a sister that lives in Zealand and has had contact with her. And I believe the foster parent has been open to like facilitating any family relationships.
Okay, and then as far as the substance abuse evaluation, when is that going to be scheduled?
If it's not already done, I believe Ms. Pastor has been working on that. It should be scheduled within the next month.
All right, thank you. I have no further questions.
Ms. Van Dyken, any follow-up?
No follow-up, Your Honor.
Ms. Jennings, any follow-up?
No, Your Honor, thank you.
All right. Ms. Van Dyken, any additional witnesses?
No other witnesses or evidence, Your Honor.
All right. Ms. Jennings?
No, Your Honor, thank you.
Ms. Golden?
No, Your Honor.
All right. Statements, Ms. Van Dyken.
Thank you, Your Honor. I believe the recommendations are appropriate. I did meet with SR in her foster home. She's doing wonderfully there and is thriving. It's my hope that the parents will take heed of these available services for domestic violence, which is what led SR to being removed and placed in foster care, as well as the substance abuse assessment. I'm glad to see that someone's on top of assisting Ms. Garcia with possible other services for her disability. I'd ask the court to follow the recommendations today.
Thank you. Ms. Jennings?
Your Honor, I have no objection to the recommendations. Thank you.
All right. Ms. Golden?
Your Honor, I do agree with the recommendations, and I know I didn't ask it, but it looks from the review of the reports that my client has been compliant, so I would ask the court to follow the recommendations.
All right. Thank you. All right. The court finds that the lawyer guardian ad litem has complied with the requirements of the statute, that returning this child to a parent today would cause a substantial risk of harm to the child's life, physical health, or mental well-being. That's because there does not appear to be significant progress yet on the treatment plan. The reasonable efforts have been made to preserve and unify the family, make it possible for this child to return home. Those reasonable efforts should be continued. That in accordance with the statute, that progress towards alleviating or mitigating the conditions that cause this child to be placed in temporary foster care has not been made by the parents. That the child's continued placement is necessary and appropriate as meeting her needs. I'm glad to hear she's doing well. That the needs of the child can be met in a foster family home. The court orders that this child continue in the protective and temporary custody of the court, continue placement with the Department for Care and Supervision. That the adjudicated respondents, Ms. Garcia and Mr. Rodriguez, comply with and benefit from the case service plan. In addition, they're to sign any necessary releases. Sounds like they're doing that, but we'll include that in the order as well. Parenting time of both parents is at the discretion of the agency. I will appoint a CASA in this case. I will order that trauma assessments or a trauma assessment be done on the child. Continue the attorney. And Ms. Gibson, do we have a date for our next review hearing?
Yes, Your Honor, May 6th at 10 a.m.
Any conflicts with that date or time?
No, Your Honor.
No, Your Honor.
No, Your Honor.
All right. Terrific. We'll see you then. And Ms. Garcia and Mr. Rodriguez, you heard Ms. Connor testify that, and the court agrees with this, that your biggest obstacle that you need to work on at this point is the domestic violence. And it's very important that you make that counseling with the YWCA. That's how you'll move forward and get this child back in your care. Okay. Present in the virtual courtroom, we have Lee Jennings on behalf of the mother, Michael Toburin on behalf of the father, Stacy Van Dyken on behalf of the child, various agency workers, as well as a CASA supervisor. Ms. Van Dyken.
I would call Ashley Pastor. Thank you.
Okay, if you would
In
unmute.
that capacity, you authored a report and provided the court and counsel with a number of other reports concerning the parents and the child, correct?
Correct.
I'd like to list those if I may.
Please.
I have the case service plan, date of report 4/14/2025 with the appropriate attachments as Exhibit 1. I have a CASA report, date of report 4/29/25 as Exhibit 2. I have a psychological assessment of Ms. Garcia, date of evaluation was 2/19/25. I have forensic fluid lab testing on Ms. Garcia as Exhibit 4. As Exhibit 5, I have forensic fluid lab testing on Mr. Rodriguez. As Exhibit 6, Your Honor, I have a set of 3 YWC reports for February, March, and April of this year as Exhibit 6. As Exhibit 7, Your Honor, there's a foster care supportive visitation in-home parent education data report, March 17th, 2025. And as Exhibit 8, Your Honor, there is a substance abuse assessment that I don't have a copy of, but I have no objection to having that marked and admitted as Exhibit 8 for today's hearing.
All right, any objection?
No objection.
Objection, thank you.
All right, it's admitted. They're admitted.
Thank you. Ms. Pastor, Sophia is placed in a foster care home, is that correct?
Correct.
And how's she doing there?
She is doing very well. It's very clear that she's very bonded to the foster parent. She seeks her out for comfort, is very happy to go home with her after visits, and just enjoys playing with her, spending time with her. She's also been attending play therapy. The therapist was on vacation, so I didn't get a formal update, but she did just email me right before this hearing, and it sounds like everything is going well. She also states that she's bonded to the caregiver and that the visits with her parents are very important, and it causes her a lot of dysregulation if one of those is canceled or missed, but that doesn't happen very often. But she definitely enjoys seeing her parents. We did have a TDM over this reporting period to kind of talk about expanding visits for the parents. They've been trying to attend Sophia's gymnastics every Tuesday, which she's liked a lot, but it's hard for her to focus on doing gymnastics when they're there because she just wants to talk to them and spend time with them. But overall, she's doing really well.
Up to date on medical and dental?
Yes.
Any other services or needs that are necessary for the foster home to meet Sophia's needs there?
We did submit a referral for a trauma assessment. It hasn't been scheduled yet. I think with all the holidays and stuff going on, spring break, it's just kind of gotten pushed to the side for a second. So I'm going to follow up and see if we can get that scheduled ASAP, but it was approved.
Let's talk about the parents. Are they working a joint treatment plan?
Yes, they are.
Okay. What are the barriers and what progress have they made on those barriers?
I think the number one barrier is definitely housing. It's hard to kind of make significant progress without appropriate housing. And then another barrier that came up over this reporting period was substance use. Unfortunately, there were a few positive screens for Ms. Garcia for cocaine. She had maintained that she did not use, so we were planning on potentially doing a hair follicle assessment just to see what's going on there, because I spoke with forensic fluids and they stated that she would have had to have consumed it in some way. And then I would just say the last one is parenting skills. They're doing very well, I would say. I think obviously having visits at the agency is a little hard. It's a small room. There's not a lot that they can do. Since the weather's been getting nicer, we've been getting outside and I can see them really shine. I watched a visit myself last week, and they were very, very engaged, very playful. It was really nice to see them like that. But supportive visitation, as in the reports that I submitted, did have some concerns, and Ms. Garcia has been having some flare-ups with her epilepsy, and I do believe that's why she's not here today. She was not feeling very well. I've encouraged her to get into her primary care physician to see if she needs her meds reviewed, or if there's something else that she can do in regards to that. But otherwise, the parents are very engaged. They've completed all the services that have been asked of them so far. They don't cancel visits often unless Ms. Garcia is really not feeling it today from her epilepsy. And I think in the future, actually, I just got the referral. There's a parenting class coming up, the nurturing parenting class at Arbor Circle, that I will be referring them to as well.
Would you add physical health as kind of a modicum of a barrier for Ms. Garcia that she needs to address that?
I would, yes.
And then domestic violence or going through counseling at the Y, how's that going? It's
going well. Ms. Garcia has been a little inconsistent with her attendance. I have been trying to remind her to go. Mr. Rodriguez has been attending as he should. I would say, though, even with some of her inconsistent participation, the reports say that she is engaged when she is there and doing well. And from my observations of how the parents interact with each other, they seem to be communicating very well. I haven't seen any anger or anything that would be concerning or indicative of current domestic violence. So I think on that front, we're doing well.
And you went over her psychological evaluation and instituted those recommendations as well into her parenting time agreement?
Yeah, the only real recommendation from the psychological was that she obtain employment. She did briefly have a part-time job that she left, and she was about to have another interview. So hopefully she does get that job and is able to maintain that employment.
And you're continuing to make referrals for housing for the parties.
As best as I can, I have pointed them in the direction of HealthNet, who is able to cover application fees for apartments. I've showed them how to navigate apartments.com and showed them other websites that they can use to try and find housing that's within their price range. They are on the Section 8 waiting list. They've been given resources for community rebuilders. I think at this point, it's just them following up on their end, and obviously housing is expensive, so they would have to save up for security deposit, first month's rent, stuff like that before they'd even be able to pursue an apartment or something like that.
Have we gone over budgeting with them?
But a budget is completed every quarter. And I was hoping that Ms. Garcia was able to get this job so we could redo the budget with updated income.
Any other information that the court needs to be made aware of that's not contained in any of the reports?
I don't believe so.
What are your recommendations today?
I recommend that Sophia remain a temporary court ward at this time, that she remain placed in her current licensed foster home or with appropriate relatives, that Mr. Rodriguez and Ms. Garcia participate and benefit from their treatment plans, that their parenting times remain supervised, this case be reviewed in 90 days, the goal remain reunification, and I would ask that Ms. Garcia be appointed a GAL if possible.
Okay, and what's your basis for requesting that at this time?
Previously, the previous worker was trying to get her ACLS worker, but based on the reports in the psychological evaluation, there really isn't grounds to pursue that. But I do believe that she does need some extra assistance in navigating this. So I think that a GAL would be beneficial for her.
Thank you. I have nothing further.
Thank you. Ms. Jennings.
Ma'am, is it where currently are Miss Garcia and Mr. Rodriguez residing?
They are currently residing in a motel.
And they're able to sustain themselves in that motel?
Yes.
Have you been to that motel?
I have not been inside. They have not wanted me to come inside. I'm aware that her father also lives there with them. But I have seen like the motel area itself.
Okay. So for now, they have appropriate housing for themselves. It just may not be appropriate housing for their daughter to return to.
Correct.
Okay. Is there anything at this point you're asking Ms. Garcia to do that she hasn't yet completed?
No, she has been participating and completing all the assessments that have been asked of her, and she's willing to participate in further services. I just think that there is still room for improvement, and obviously we don't have a place for Sophia to return back to, and we would like to expand to in-home visits, but we feel that the motel might be a little confusing for her to have visits in. It's not a home, it's not a place she recognizes, and it wouldn't be a place she'd be returning to. So that's something that we discussed in the TDM, but we are trying to do more community visits and stuff like that for them. So when we get to that point, it's a easy transition.
Would you be willing to add any additional either third-party supervised visits or community visits to their already scheduled agency visits?
If have the resources, yes, or if there is an appropriate outside supervisor, aside from their father, I'm not aware of any other like relatives or anything that would be willing to help. And then when they do go see Sophia at gymnastics, the foster parent is the one who's supervising that. So that's about 3 visits a week if they go consistently. But we would like them to get more time, absolutely.
Okay. And currently, what's their schedule for parenting time? How often and frequently are they seeing her?
The scheduled visits at the agency are Mondays and Thursdays. They're about an hour long. More time is allotted if we can offer that. And then Tuesdays is when Sophia has gymnastics.
Okay. Thank you.
I was just a reminder to use initials, please.
Oh, sorry. My apologies.
Likewise. I have no other questions.
All right, Mr. Taburon.
Thank you, Your Honor. Just very briefly, Ms. Pastor, what have you told Mr. Rodriguez regarding marijuana use?
Marijuana use is legal. So long as they're not doing it in the home, it's not a major barrier to parents and children being reunified. Obviously, it's something that we would like to see go down. And I know that substance use initially was an issue for him. So if he could not use, that is best case scenario, but it's not something that's going to prevent SR from returning home.
And then regarding the budget you have done so far, do you have a feel for whether Mr. Rodriguez could support his family based on his current job?
I do.
And you think he could?
I feel that he could, yes.
So as you said, the issue then is saving up some money or finding help with a deposit and first month's rent.
Correct.
And the CASA report mentioned that one of the programs may have been community rebuilders. Could potentially provide help there. Is that something we're looking into?
That was something that was offered to them, yes. The issue was them following up. I can like refer them to services, offer them community resources and stuff, but they do need to follow up and make those calls to make things happen as well.
So that one specifically, they just did not follow through on?
Correct.
Do you know if it would be still a possibility if they did that now?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Your Honor, I have no further questions. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Van Dyken, any further witnesses or evidence?
No other witnesses or evidence, Your Honor.
All right, Ms. Jennings, any witnesses or evidence?
No, Your Honor. Thank you.
Mr. Toburin?
No, thank you, Your Honor.
All right, statements, Ms. Van Dyken.
Thank you, Your Honor. I agree with the recommendations. I did visit with my youth, with the foster mother who was about to take her out to tulip time, so I can't wait to see those pictures. I believe the parents are making progress on their treatment goals. I'm a little hesitant with Ms. Garcia and the cocaine positive for cocaine and with her epilepsy and her health. That does give me pause for concern. But they appear to be working diligently on their parent agency treatment plan, and I'd ask the court to follow the recommendations.
Thank you. Ms. Jennings.
Your Honor, I don't have any objection to the recommendations. With regard to, I guess, the request for a GAL, I will say that in my conversations with my client, I haven't noticed an inability to understand what was going on in the case. She's been doing pretty well in the case and cooperative, but if the agency, I mean, sees something that I'm not, or I did see that they said that they didn't have a community CLS worker available, and that might be why they were asking for a GAL. I'm not sure that is the same type of resource, but if the court feels one should be explored, I think we could do that. That's my only other comment, Your Honor.
Thank you. Mr. Toburin.
Your Honor, I think the recommendation is appropriate. Thank you.
All right. Thank you. The court finds that the lawyer guardian ad litem has complied with the requirements of the statute, that returning this child to a parent today would cause a substantial risk of harm to the child's life, physical health, or mental well-being, that reasonable efforts have been made to preserve and reunify the family, make it possible for this child to safely return home, that those reasonable efforts for reunification should be continued, that in accordance with the statute, progress towards alleviating or mitigating the conditions that cause the children to be placed or remain in temporary foster care has not been made by either parent, that the child's continued placement is necessary and appropriate as meeting her needs, that the needs of the child can be met in a foster family home. The court orders that the child continue in the protection and the protective and temporary custody of the court, continue placement with the Department for Care and Supervision, that the adjudicated respondents comply with and benefit from the case service plan, also that they sign all necessary releases. The parenting time of both parents is at the discretion of the department to allow unsupervised or supervised parenting time by its designee. Continue the attorneys in this matter. I will appoint a GAL. I'd rather err on the side of caution in that. And Ms. Gibson, do we have a date for our next review hearing?
Yes, Your Honor, we could do July 30 at 10:30.
Any conflicts with that date or time?
Not for me, no.
No, Your Honor.
No, Your Honor.
All right, we will see you then. Thank you. Present in the virtual courtroom, we have Mother Ms. Garcia. We have her attorney, Lee Jennings, her GAL, Matthew Reens. We have father's attorney, Michael Toburin, the child's attorney, Mark Van Slooten for Stacy Van Dyken, and various agency workers. Mr. Van Slooten.
Thank you, Your Honor. I do plan to call Ms. Pastor, but I would propose that we admit 7 exhibits first.
All right.
First is a case service plan with attached parent agency treatment plans. The report dated July 10 of 2025. Exhibit 2 would be the July 3, 2025 report from Samaritas. I believe it's a trauma assessment. Exhibit 3 would be a monthly report from the YWCA. with an attached email from Ms. Solomon. And the report date is July 8th of 2025. Exhibit 4 would be a series of foster care supportive visitation weekly progress reports. I believe those start May 14 of 2025 and continue through, it looks like June 23 of 2025 is the date the last one was signed. Exhibit 4 is a set of forensic fluid reports for Ms. Garcia. And those start April 24 of 2025 and go through July 7 of 2025. And then exhibit 6 would be forensic fluid reports for Mr. Rodriguez, starting April 24, 2025 and continuing through July 7 of 2025. And then there's a CASA report of July 21, 2025. That's exhibit 7.
Thank you. Any objection?
No objection.
No objection, Your Honor.
All right, they're all admitted.
And then I'd like to call Ms. Pastor.
All right, Ms. Pastor, if you would unmute and raise your right hand, please. Apologies for mispronouncing your last name.
It's okay.
I would make the same apology, Your Honor. So, Ms. Pastor, Ms. Pastor, would you tell us where you're employed?
I'm employed with Wellspring Lutheran Services.
You are the case manager for SR, is that correct?
Correct.
She's placed in a licensed unrelated foster home, correct?
Correct.
Can you tell us how she's doing in her placement?
She is doing really well. She's currently participating in speech therapy and play therapy, and those are going well. I tried to get updates on those, but I did not get them timely, so I apologize about that. But based on what I hear from the caregiver, she is doing really well in those services and enjoys them. She also did complete a trauma assessment. I did submit the preliminary results, but I didn't get the full report in time to submit to court. But we will follow the recommendations of that, and then once I have the full report, I'll submit that as well. But yeah, overall, she's doing good. Aggressive behaviors have gone down, which is a positive. She is doing better with her speech, and just overall happy girl. She had a birthday. She's doing really well.
The initial assessment on the trauma assessment, what were the recommendations, at least at this point in time?
I can't remember them off the top of my head. I apologize. I can pull it up really quick though. Is
there anything to be added to what's currently being provided in the way of services? You mentioned speech and play therapy.
Yeah, I don't think there was anything additional other than what we're provided that's being recommended. It might just be some more like routine-based stuff in the home. And there were concerns noted about potential abuse.
SR is 4, but will be starting kindergarten in the fall. Is that correct?
That is correct.
And I understand she's in a home. I know the foster parent is a foster care worker and very familiar with services, correct?
Correct.
Okay. But overall, things are going well in that placement.
Absolutely.
What's the situation with school? I know it's kindergarten, but has she been to the school? Does she know who her teacher's going to be? I mean, have all those things been taken care of?
I know the caregiver has gotten her enrolled. I don't know that she's been able to meet her teacher and do all of that yet.
Okay. Does SR have any health or dental needs at this point?
No, she's all up to date. She was behind on a few vaccinations, I believe, but she had an appointment at the beginning of this month and was able to get caught up on all that for school.
What's the current parenting time arrangement for the parents?
Currently they have supervised visits here at the agency Monday and Thursday, not through. And then they are more than welcome to go to her gymnastics appointments on Tuesdays as well. And then any health appointments that she has too.
Does SR experience any problems before or after visits with parents?
Towards the start of the reporting period, if a visit was canceled, she would get very upset, aggressive, and then sometimes after a visit, it would be hard to get her into the car. She didn't want to leave. and then would have some behaviors after visits. But towards the end of this reporting period, if a visit was canceled, she hasn't had much of a reaction at this point. And she's been doing better after visits as well.
Okay. Let's move on to Miss Garcia. She's got a treatment plan in place, correct?
Correct.
Can you tell me what her needs are and what progress she's making addressing those needs?
Yes. So parenting skills, emotional stability, domestic violence, there's a few more. Health is a big one. We really want her to get her epilepsy under control. Sorry, I'm having like indigestion or something going on right now. And she was in services at the YWCA, but in that email that I attached, she can't continue at this time because it's been 9 months. So we have to like sign a renewal, but I haven't been given the renewal paperwork at this point. So she can't return until I get that. I had referred them to a parenting class at Arbor Circle. It's called Nurturing Parenting. But unfortunately, both parents, their phone is either lost or broken. So Arbor Circle has not been able to get in contact with them. But they do have a class starting at the beginning of August, so I'm hoping that we can figure out a way to get them into that. The YWCA provides both like mental health services as well as domestic violence services. There was an incident over this reporting period where Ms. Garcia did have a black eye, and we did have some concerns because there was a couple different stories about how she had gotten the black eye. But I did have a chance to speak with her privately, and she stated that she had a seizure, so she couldn't remember exactly what happened, but she said that Luis did not hit her. Substance use hasn't been a concern over this reporting period. It's just been THC for Ms. Garcia. And it is legal, and it doesn't make you a bad parent to use THC products. So that's not a super huge concern at the moment. And then just mainly I'm hoping she can get in contact with her GAL. I'm not sure if they've had contact over this reporting period, but just having someone else that can give her a little more direction as well, I hope will be helpful. She's still kind of like struggling to remember things at times, and that could be because of her epilepsy. And I've encouraged her and sent her a few different like providers that she could go to, like Cherry Women's Health, or something of the sorts, or a low-cost clinic, because I do believe she either might need a different medication or a stronger medication because they've gotten more frequent. And I do have a lot of concerns with that, and I feel like that's impacting her ability to do a lot of the things she needs to do. Over this reporting period, they also were able to move into a house. They're sharing it with a couple different people. So they're kind of like renting the room and then sharing the rest of the space. I was able to go and see it. There is room in their bedroom for a toddler bed if we do get to that point. And the home overall is appropriate. It's definitely better than a motel. So I don't have any concerns there. I'm very happy that they were able to rectify that because housing is usually one of the hardest things to get. And then Ms. Garcia has said she wants to work. She has had a couple jobs since I've been the worker. It's just hard for her to maintain it because of her epilepsy. But she hopes to be able to work as well. But currently, Mr. Rodriguez is covering all of their needs. And they seem to be doing well because Mr. Rodriguez was able to purchase a car, which has helped a lot with transportation for visits and stuff. But he's still working in roofing. So that has made it difficult sometimes because he gets paid by the day, not by the hour. So if he misses a day, he doesn't get paid at all. Or if he leaves early, he doesn't get paid.
Let me stop you a minute. So just to be clear, Ms. Garcia is doing supervised visits, is that correct?
Correct.
She's got supportive visitation, and are they in every visit or are they in one visit per week?
I do believe it's one a week.
Okay. She has the health issue, the epilepsy. Is she seeing a neurologist or is she prescribed any medications?
She is on a medication for it, but she reported to me that their Medicaid had lapsed. So she currently isn't insured, so it is difficult for her to get in to see a doctor because they can't afford that at the moment.
Are you able to help her with the Medicaid to get that reinstated so she can get in to see a doctor?
I could try, but I think part of the issue is that she is not working, and I don't think that Luis's current job, because I don't think it's like a traditional pay stub. I think he might be being paid in cash, so I don't think there's a way to get insurance currently for them.
But aside from supportive visitation, there really are no other services that the parents are at least Ms. Garcia is participating with. You said the Y is no longer in place, correct?
It's just kind of on hold because I need that renewal paperwork. So it's not like they were discharged or anything. I just need the paperwork from them and I can sign that and they can resume.
Okay. Is she participating in any other services besides supportive visitation and waiting for the Y?
Not at the moment, but that parenting class starts at the beginning of August, so I'm hoping that they can do that in person together. It should fit in with Luis's work schedule, so he'd be able to drive both of them.
And notice from the supportive visitation reports that they'd like to see her have some of her own visits to see how she does on her own, because Mr. Rodriguez seems to dominate during parenting time.
Yeah, and I have mentioned that to her as well, especially because if Luis is called into work and they cancel a visit, I mentioned to her, I was like, you are still more than welcome to come to the visit. Luis does not have to be here for you to come and see Sophia. So I told her if that ever happens, like she can reach out and we can come help with transportation, or I know that Luis's sister, if she's given the heads up, can help with transportation as well.
Okay. And do you know, if she signed a release so you could talk to a doctor at all about her health situation? The question I have is the use of marijuana appropriate with her epilepsy? Do you know?
I'm not a medical professional, so I can't say if that has any effect on her epilepsy or not. I don't know that I'd be able to talk to her doctor currently, just because I'm not sure if she's still seeing him with the lapse in their Medicaid and stuff like that. But she should have a release on file for me to be able to do that when she does have a provider.
Okay, and then overall, how does she do during visits?
The quality of visits has improved a lot, I would say. Towards the beginning of the reporting period, Sophia she was verbalizing that she was being mean to mom on purpose. So she wasn't really allowing mom to interact with her or be, affectionate with her and stuff like that. We're not really sure what the reasoning behind that was, but she has not been doing that in the past month and a half, I would say. She's been very engaged with mom, engaging and initiating affection with mom. We've been trying to do more community visits. So we go to the park and stuff. They've really been enjoying this park that has a water park. Parents will get in the water with her and push her on the swing, and they've been very engaged.
And then just the last thing with regard to Ms. Garcia, I noticed from the report, and this might be old information, but there was a child abuse charge filed against her. Do you know if that was resolved?
I feel like that was old information from February. I know right when I became the caseworker, they were released, both parents were released from jail that day for the child abuse charges.
Okay. All right, let's move on to Mr. Rodriguez. Tell me about his treatment plan and tell me what progress he's making.
Mr. Rodriguez.
Let me interrupt for just a moment. My notes indicate that at the last hearing, there was reported a positive cocaine for Ms. Garcia, and she was supposed to be referred for a hair follicle to confirm. Did that happen?
No. We weren't able to get that scheduled. And currently I'm having issues. I was able to communicate with her today and get her to the agency so she could be on court today. But I've been having issues with communication because she's lost her phone.
Is that the reason that you haven't been able to schedule the hair follicle?
It was also with funding.
Okay, has that been resolved?
It should be, yes.
Okay, Mr. Van Sluten, do you have any follow-up to those questions?
I don't, Your Honor. I'm without notes here today,
Okay.
so I'm glad you
All right.
pointed that out.
All right, thank you. Please, I guess restate your question, Mr. Van
Yeah, I
Sluten, before I
was asking
interrupted.
about, yep, no. I was asking about Mr. Rodriguez. Could you tell us about his treatment plan and what progress he's making?
Yeah, so his treatment plan is pretty similar to Mrs. Rodriguez. He is also participating at the YWCA, but he is also on hold right now until I get those renewal forms. I have also referred him to the same parenting class as Miss Garcia. The YWCA is more of a group module for him, so it's not as individual for mental health services as I would like. I have talked to him and Ms. Garcia about potentially switching to individual counseling soon, but I would really need their communication issues currently to be cleared up before doing that. But once I have that, he can return to group for mainly treating the domestic violence issues that we've had in the past. In terms of parenting skills, again, the parenting class I refer them to, in parenting times, Mr. Rodriguez is like extremely engaged with Sophia. She is all about her dad. You can tell that he really enjoys being there with her, and has a lot of fun at the visits. It's very nice to see their dynamic together. He is working. I don't have like pay stubs or anything that necessarily shows that he's working, but the people that he lives with are who he works with. They're doing roofing in the morning. They get in the car together and go to the job site together. And obviously they have housing, and he is covering the cost of that. They have a car. I think he needs to get the brakes fixed currently, but he's able to maintain that, pay for gas, stuff like that. And yeah, overall, aside from the kind of lapse on services right now, I think that he's doing really well. I just think his job has interfered a lot with his ability to participate in those things. But he said at the end of summer, he plans to get a different job with a different schedule so he can resume that.
Your case service plan indicated that he tested positive for cocaine on April 28th of 2025.
Correct. And we did have a discussion, and he said that it wouldn't happen again. And I let him know that if it does, then we're going to have to look at some form of substance use service. But it has not happened since. And we also did increase the amount. We were screening both parents because previously they were only being screened once per week. And now they are screened twice per week at each visit.
But did he admit to cocaine use?
He did.
Did he indicate how frequently he used before he stopped testing positive for it?
He did not indicate that, and I know that when this case came into care, there was some cocaine use around then too, but it had not been an issue for him up until this positive in April.
The YWCA report indicates that he was supposed to participate with men choosing alternatives to violence.
Correct, that's the group.
But he didn't attend any sessions, right?
Not last month, and he stated that it was because of his job.
All right. So similar to Ms. Garcia, he goes to visits, he's got foster care supportive visitation, he's doing drug screens for you. And he signed up for a parenting class, but he's really not doing anything else in the way of services.
Not at the moment, no.
All right. SR's been out of the parents' home since October 9 of 2024, is that correct?
Correct.
And by the time we get back to court, will be almost a year, correct?
Correct.
I noticed that your report recommended a review, but do you think a permanency planning hearing would be more appropriate at that point in time?
Yeah, that's actually what I had in my recommendations, is that the next hearing be a permanency planning hearing.
Okay. What are your recommendations for the court?
It's respectfully recommended that Sophia remain a temporary court ward. Sophia remained placed in a licensed foster home or with an approved relative. Ms. Garcia and Mr. Rodriguez participate and benefit from their parent agency treatment plans. Ms. Garcia and Mr. Rodriguez parenting times remain supervised by the agency. The case be reviewed in 90 days. The goal remain reunification, and then a permanency planning be held.
I have nothing further. Thank you.
Thank you. I have just one follow-up question. Again, my notes indicate that Mr. Rodriguez was previously referred for a substance abuse assessment. I take it that has not happened.
I was informed when I got the case that he had completed one prior. I can see if that was never submitted, I can see.
Can you
if we
confirm
have
that?
Yeah. And then I know that when I took over the case, Ms. Garcia completed one.
Any follow-up, Mr. Van Sluten?
No, thank you.
All right, thank you. Ms. Jennings.
Thank you, Ms. Pasteur. What were the results of mom's substance abuse assessment?
The assessment indicated that there were no concerns that she has any issues with substance use or abuse. And there weren't really any recommendations. It was kind of similar with her psychological report as well. They didn't really report anything major other than that they feel she needs to work so she can apply for disability as she does have epilepsy.
Okay. And you said, I think there has been no, other than THC, there's been no positive screens for mom over the last review period, correct?
Correct.
We did have that one positive, like there was one positive for the dad in this case, and they are both positive on the same day. So did you speak with Ms. Garcia about that, and did she admit use?
She did not. She said she didn't use, so that's why we were going to schedule that hair follicle. I had spoken with forensic fluids and they said based on the level that she would have had to have ingested it. So we were just doing that at the request of Ms. Garcia.
Okay. So you do still plan to do the hair follicle and you do have funding for it?
Correct.
Okay. And with regard to Ms. Garcia's disability, have you talked with her about applying for Social Security disability and how she might go about doing that?
I have, but unfortunately she needs at least a part-time job in order to qualify, at least to my knowledge. She said that she's tried to apply before and it was denied.
Have you looked into the qualifications yourself?
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
We can hear you.
Have you looked, sorry, Ms. Pasteur, have you looked into the qualifications she might need in order to make application yourself?
I can do a more in-depth look at it. I did send her like where she would need to apply and stuff like that. And she had stated she previously applied, but it was denied.
Okay. And you said employment is required for Medicaid?
I do believe so. Again, to my knowledge, I thought that you had to make like below a certain amount of money in order to qualify. But again, I could be mistaken and I can look at that again and see if there's any way for them to qualify.
Will you explore that again and check into that? Would you agree that one of mom's biggest concerns is her epilepsy and getting her epilepsy properly treated?
I do agree. I think that unfortunately it impacts her ability to do a lot of things. seizures can come at any time. And then she can miss appointments, she can forget things because it can affect her memory. So it is one of my biggest concerns.
And currently, right now, is she on any medication for that you're aware of?
She reported to me that she is.
Okay. And how long do you think it will take for the renewal to go through for the Y counseling?
I can follow up with the therapist. She could have potentially just forgotten to send it over, but it shouldn't take long.
Okay. How long has that funding been expired?
It's because they reached 9 months. So in order for them to continue, we have to do a renewal.
I guess I'm asking when they reached that 9 months. How long has it been since they?
Yeah, I think it was the beginning of this month. It was on the email that I submitted, the date that.
Okay.
Ms. Garcia, I keep muting you to cut down on the background noise. All right, your attorney speaks for you here today. Go ahead.
Okay.
I'm sorry about that. I was just making sure everything was good.
Okay. All right. Is there anything else at this time that you're asking Ms. Garcia to do that she's not yet participated in?
I just want her to fully engage in the services that we have offered to her. I do believe that with her health, and then with them trying to navigate getting proper housing, that has been a little time consuming. And obviously the health is still a big issue and impacts her ability to do a lot of things at the moment. So I'm hoping to get that, we can get that rectified soon. Hopefully she can qualify for Medicaid, and get to a doctor. And I think that in this case specifically, the parents just need a little extra time to get the ball rolling.
Okay. Thank you. I have no other questions, Your Honor.
Thank you, Mr. Taburin.
Thank you, Your Honor. Ms. Pastor, just very briefly regarding Mr. Rodriguez, you may have said this, but how often are you able to speak with him?
He hasn't had a phone, I think, in about 2 months. So I would frequently stick around and try and catch them at parenting times. So that's about the only times I've been able to speak with him. I've tried to, reach out through like Facebook Messenger. I've tried to send emails and stuff, but I don't think he has a way to access that at the moment. So I've only been able to communicate with him like a few times a month.
Okay, and what are you telling him regarding prioritizing, working on services as opposed to working to make income or to earn income, etc.?
Yeah, I think it's just a tricky situation because he is the only one who is providing for both him and Miss Garcia. So if he's not working, they don't have a place to live, they don't have food, they don't have any resources. So I think it's hard to tell him not to work. I have said that like maybe we need to find a different job that will allow you to do both. But at the time currently, he said that roofing has made him like a little bit more money than most jobs would. So he's been trying to save, and obviously he was able to get housing and was able to get a car. And I think those are really positive things too for the future.
I'm sorry, I guess my question is a little more direct. Are you telling him it's okay to focus on earning money this summer as opposed to doing the services?
No, that's not exactly what I'm saying. I am asking him and telling him that he does need to participate in these services and that it's really important if we're going to, make those steps to try and get Sophia returned home. But at the same time, it's hard to tell him to I can't be like, you need to quit your job right now so you can participate. Like he's the sole provider and stuff like that. So it's just a tricky situation. Yes, he can find a different job, and I've recommended that he do that as well. But for the time being, I just feel like with how much responsibility he has for the family at this time, I'm not gonna be super pushy to like get him to a new job, if that makes sense. But I am recommending that he does that.
Okay, and I know you spoke about the home they're living in right now. Is it acceptable for the child if we got to that point, or will they have to find new housing?
I would say that it would be. There is room for a toddler bed in the bedroom that he and Miss Garcia are sharing at the moment. I do believe it's a 3-bedroom, like 2-bathroom home. There's like a bathroom upstairs and a bedroom upstairs, 2 bedrooms downstairs, and a half bath downstairs, along with the kitchen and stuff. So there's plenty of space. They do share it with a couple other people, but I do believe it's appropriate.
Have the other, I guess, do the other people need to be approved? And if so, has that happened?
We would have to. At this time, it hasn't, because we're not planning to have visits in the home or anything at the moment. But if those people are to be around when we do, or if we do that, we would have to do some clearances.
Okay. So then over the next report period, what is your expectation for Mr. Rodriguez in terms of engaging in services?
Yeah, my expectation is that he does this parenting class, is that he's consistent with his group at the YWCA, that he's also consistent with helping Miss Garcia, making sure that she's getting the things that she needs and the help that she needs, like if she needs to get to a doctor's appointment, and other things like that, helping hold her accountable as well. And then just overall continuing to participate the way he does in parenting times. I would like to see less parenting times canceled. I understand that they're doing that because he's working, but I think it's important that they make those efforts to see Sophia, and Sophia really wants to see them. So
just want to remind everybody we should be using the child's initials.
Oh, my apologies.
And do you think Mr. Rodriguez understands that? Your expectation?
I believe that he does. I did have a serious conversation with him last week, just kind of talking about, we really need to buckle down on these things. It's been almost a year. And if we don't do that, it's going to be difficult to make a recommendation to have Sophia returned home. So I'm starting to have more serious conversations with them about these things, because we're definitely a ways down the road in this case. So
what was his response to that conversation?
He said that he understands and he will. He said that he needs to get a phone, and then he needs to get a different job. This was last week. And then once he's able to do that, then he can obviously communicate with the service providers and make sure that he's attending those things that he needs to be at.
Okay. Okay, thank you, Your Honor. I have no further questions.
Thank you. I'm just going to note that the court does have an 11 o'clock, that this was only scheduled for half an hour and we're running over at this point, but if I need to give another date, I can do that. But Mr. Van Slooten, do you have any additional witnesses or evidence?
I do not.
All right. Or any follow-up to the questions that the other attorneys have asked?
No, thank you.
All right. Ms. Jennings, any follow-up?
No, Your Honor.
Okay. Mr. Tobier, any follow-up?
No, thank you.
Okay. All right. And statements, Mr. Van Slooten.
Your Honor, I'm informed that Ms. Van Dyken has seen her client. I think the recommendations are appropriate. I would hope that the parents would kind of re-engage with some of the services that they need, and that we have a permanency planning hearing as our next hearing. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Ms. Jennings.
I have no objection to the recommendations, Your Honor.
All right. Mr. Tobier.
Your Honor, I think the recommendation is appropriate as well. Thank you.
Mr. Reins.
Thank you, Your Honor. I think the recommendation is appropriate. The only thing I would note, having listened to the testimony today, is that it would probably be helpful for the worker to investigate the issue of supplemental security income, because the recitation regarding benefits available or applications filed didn't make a whole lot of sense to me. And given that we have a fairly significant issue with epilepsy, there could absolutely be entitlement to supplemental security income upon a finding of an appropriate disability.
I would agree. And also the insurance, the health insurance. So, all right. The court finds that the lawyer, actually, Mr. Van Slooten, did Ms. Van Dyken see this child?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, thank you. The lawyer guardian ad litem has complied with the requirements of the statute that returning this child to a parent today would cause a substantial risk of harm to the child's physical health or mental well-being, that reasonable efforts have been made to preserve and reunify the family and make it possible for these children to safely return home, that those reasonable efforts for reunification should be continued. And as Mr. Reens pointed out, I believe the agency needs to make more efforts in order to connect these parents, especially Ms. Garcia, with the services she needs given her disability. That in accordance with the statute, progress towards alleviating or mitigating the conditions that cause this child to be placed to remain in temporary foster care have not been made by either parent. That the child's continued placement is necessary and appropriate and is meeting her needs. That the needs of the child can be met in a foster family home. The court orders that the child continue in the protective and temporary custody of the court, continue placement with the Department for Care and Supervision, that the adjudicated respondents, both parents, comply with and benefit from the case service plan, sign any additional releases. Parenting time of both parents is at the discretion of the department to allow unsupervised or parenting time or parenting time supervised by a designee. I'll continue the attorneys in this matter. And Ms. Gibson, do you have a date for our next hearing, which is required to be a permanency planning hearing given the passage of time here?
Yes, Your Honor, October 22 from 9 to 10 a.m.
It'll have to be sooner than that. The 1 year mark is 10/9.
Okay. How is October 22 from 10 to 11? I'm sorry, October 2 from 10 to 11.
Any conflicts?
Works for me, Your Honor.
Fine for me.
And I'm available if Ms. Van Dyken is not. So.
All right. All right.
Present in the virtual courtroom, we have Mr. Rodriguez. You do indicate that it's both you and the mother. Is that correct? Now you can unmute.
Yeah, she's here in the car with me.
Okay. And okay, I in the back there. All right. And
Yes.
are you pulled over?
Yes.
Okay, that's fine. All right. So both parents are present, along with mother's attorney, Lee Jennings, who is also acting as guardian ad litem today for Ms. Garcia. We have, as I indicated, Mr. Rodriguez, who is the father, his attorney, Michael Traburin, the child's attorney, Stacy Van Dyken, various agency workers, foster parent, and the CASA, Ms. Trepkowski. Ms. Van Dyken.
Thank you, Honor. I would call Ashley Pastor. Thank you. Ms. Pastor, where are you employed?
I'm employed with Wellspring Lutheran Services.
And in that capacity, you've been assigned as the foster care worker for SR?
Correct.
And as goes along with that capacity of foster care worker, you have supplied the court and counsel with a number of reports for today's hearing. Is that correct?
Correct.
Your Honor, I'd like to list those for admissions today.
Please do.
I have the case service plan, date of report 9/11/25, and the appropriate attachments of parent agency treatment plans, Exhibit 1. I have an undated letter from Alex Prince of Humankind as Exhibit 2. As Exhibit 3, I have a packet of forensic fluid drug tests for Ms. Garcia. As Exhibit 4, I have a packet of forensic fluid drug tests for Mr. Rodriguez. As Exhibit 5, I have 2 YWCA reports, one from September and one from August, as Exhibit 5. As Exhibit 6, I have a foster care supportive visitation report. As Exhibit 7, I have a CASA report, date of report 9/23/25. And finally, as Exhibit 8, I have 2 parent nurturing reports, date of report 10/1. I have those
Any-
8. I'd like to
No, go ahead.
I'd like to mark and admit for today's hearing.
Any objection?
No
No
objection.
objection, thank you.
All right, they're admitted.
Thank you. Ms. Pastor, could you tell us how SR is doing it in foster care?
Currently, overall, she's doing really well. She started school, she's making friends, so that seems to be going well. She also ditched gymnastics for cheerleading, and she seems to be enjoying that much more. I think she's enjoying more of the team aspect versus the individual aspect. That one has less parental involvement too. It's more like they focus on doing the routine and parents can come in for the last 5 minutes to see what they've been working on. She's still going to therapy and that seems to be going well. Parenting times are going well. They have become very consistent. For the previous couple months, they were around like 75%. And as they become more consistent, she's starting to baby talk a little more. We're a little confused on that. She's addressing that in therapy, and she's also doing speech at school and with a speech therapist outside of school as well. I think that's all for her. Overall, she's doing really well. She's up to date on medical and dental, and there are no concerns really.
And I did note in the report from Ms. Prinz that she was struggling when the parents weren't consistent with their parenting time, correct?
Correct.
Okay, but they've remedied that and they are more consistent.
Correct, yes.
Okay. Let's move on to the parents. They're working a joint treatment plan, correct?
Correct.
And what barriers have they been working on during this report period?
They've continued to work on substance use as there were previous concerns. They've continued to work on domestic violence as that continues to be a concern. They're working on their parenting skills, their mental health, and we've been trying to assist Ms. Garcia with focusing on her personal health as well, as that has been a concern. Both parents have started a parenting class through Arbor Circle, the nurturing parenting class. Mr. Rodriguez has attended all 4 sessions so far. Ms. Garcia did miss one, but she's already scheduled for the makeup for that. And it is reported that they are both engaged appropriately and present for those classes. Ms. Garcia is still struggling a little bit to be consistent with her therapy. If she doesn't have someone kind of like walking her through getting logged on to the Zoom, she struggles a little bit. We did address it in the FTM to see like different things that she could do, like come to our agency. She could go to the YWCA. She could call the therapist. She could go to a friend's house just so she has someone to help her. But this is still continue to be an issue. So I did discuss with the therapist if she could do Microsoft Teams instead of Zoom, because I have had some success with getting Ms. Garcia on meetings with Teams instead. So she said she's going to try that this Friday to see if that makes a difference. Mr. Rodriguez was struggling a bit with being consistent with his group, but he did report he's gone the last couple of weeks and promises to continue to be consistent with that. He is currently searching for an AA meeting that fits within his schedule because he would like to address those concerns that he's had in the past with alcohol. And parenting times are going very well. Both parents are very present and engaged with Sophia. They bring appropriate food and snacks. And they have been very flexible with us as well, because we have had a lot of staff moving around and new workers coming in. So we did have to change their schedule a couple of times. And they were still able to maintain their consistency through that.
You mentioned the mother's health, that she struggles. She has epilepsy, correct?
Correct.
That does impede her ability to have consistent employment?
To my knowledge, yes. But she has had employment in the past. I just think it's if she were to have a seizure like during work, or if she's not feeling well and has to miss work frequently, then it does impede on her ability to maintain that employment. I have discussed with her over this reporting period, like trying to get her into the doctor. And she does have a medication that she's prescribed. So I did recommend that she call whoever is on that bottle. And it does sound like she has an appointment set up. I think it's tomorrow. So hopefully that goes well, and she can get that reviewed appropriately. And if her meds need to be changed, hopefully that can happen as well.
And I note in both parties' drug screens, their consistent use of THC, correct?
Correct.
Okay. Has anybody talked to Ms. Garcia about how that might impact her epilepsy?
I would leave that up to a medical professional. I'm not a doctor. but I do know that it may potentially have adverse effects on her epilepsy. But again, I'm not a professional, so I don't want to make any recommendations or anything on that.
And it seems they are consistently using THC. Have we put together a safety plan for a sober person if they're continuing to use?
We can work on that, but marijuana is legal. So we can't necessarily keep them from doing that, but we can safety plan around that. In other cases, when we've moved towards reunification, we made sure there was like a lockbox in the home, made sure they're not using in the home, like safety planned around that. When they come to visits, they don't, smell like marijuana or seem like they're under the influence as well. So it hasn't really been like a direct concern to us, at least since I've been the caseworker.
And anything else concerning the parents at this time?
I was informed this morning that Mr. Rodriguez was arrested last night. Clearly he's here, he's out on bond. The charges weren't listed. I did try to ask him beforehand, but I'm unsure what the charges were.
You'll follow up with that?
Correct.
Would return of SR to her, either parent at this time, put her at risk to her life, physical health, or mental well-being?
I believe so.
And is it appropriate, and is it time to look at moving the goal change to termination of parental rights? I
believe that the parents should be issued a 90-day warning before we move towards that goal change, but I do believe that is appropriate to start looking in that direction.
Okay, I want to be clear. So you are saying that it's appropriate to move towards termination of parental rights? That would be in SR's best interest?
Yes.
Okay. But you are still willing and to be cooperative and offer them services so they can fully engage going forward in the next 90 days?
Correct.
And is Wellspring operating under reasonable, prudent parenting standards through the foster parent giving SR the ability to engage in age-appropriate activities?
Absolutely, yes.
What are your recommendations today?
It's respectfully recommended that Sophia remain a temporary court ward under the care of the Department of Health and Human Services. Sophia remain placed in her current licensed foster home or with an appropriate relative. Ms. Garcia and Mr. Rodriguez participate and benefit from their parent agency treatment plan. Ms. Garcia and Mr. Rodriguez parenting times remain supervised by the agency or its designee, and the agency continue to have discretion over those parenting times. The parents be issued a 90-day warning and the case be reviewed in 90 days.
Thank you. I have nothing further.
Thank you. Ms. Jennings.
Thank you. Ms. Pasteur, with regard to Ms. Garcia, has she signed a release of information for you to be able to get information from her doctor's appointment, or have you asked her to do that?
When all cases come into care, all parents sign a release of information for that. So we do have one on file. I just am not aware of the specific doctor that she's seeing yet,
Okay.
But I can get that information.
Okay. And so you'll ask her about that. And are there certain things that you want her to talk to her doctor about when she goes to her appointment? Like a medication review, since correct me if I'm wrong, but the medication, she has been taking her current epilepsy medication properly, correct?
Correct, as far as we're aware. But she's continued to have increased episodes. So we have discussed during previous FTMs, as well as when I see her multiple times every month, that it's probably wise to ask to review that medication, see if she needs an increased dosage or a different medication altogether, just to make sure she's properly treating that.
Okay. So you talked with her about the fact that that's one thing you want her to talk to her doctor about. Is there anything else that you think she should be talking to her doctor about with regard to her epilepsy or her health that you want to know?
I think the main concern is her epilepsy, as it has like affected her ability to be consistent with parenting time sometimes, as she's missed visits, or again with work. Maybe a better medication that allows it to be managed better could allow her to work more consistently, or at least maybe part-time. But yeah, that is the main thing that I would like her to address with her doctor.
She has previously made an application for Social Security disability based on her epilepsy, correct?
Correct. And that is a qualifying diagnosis for disability. Sorry, I couldn't find the word.
Oh, go ahead.
I was going to say, I read through everything that is required to apply for disability and potentially be approved. There are some stipulations that if she like is able to work, then she would potentially be denied. So that could also be something that is affecting that because she has worked previously.
But my understanding from reading your report is that she actually has been unable over the last report period to keep a job because her epilepsy has reoccurred so often. Is that correct?
Correct. That's what's reported to me. Correct.
And so she was ultimately, I think during this report period, or maybe even earlier, received a denial of her application for Social Security disability.
Correct. And I've discussed with her the appropriate offices or numbers that she can call to see if she can sit down with someone who is versed in applying for disability to go through that application with her to make sure it's done correctly. I've reminded her, I made her a personalized calendar as well. And on the bottom, it has addresses, phone numbers, and other things for applying for Medicaid, for disability, reaching out to HealthNet, making sure they're using all their resources. And as far as I'm aware at this time, she has not gone. And I told her that she could always reach out to me, and if I'm available, that I could take her as well.
I'm sorry to interrupt, but Mr. Rodriguez and Ms. Garcia, you need to stay muted. There's just an awful lot of background noise. You're both represented by attorneys, so we're going to mute you. Thank you. Go ahead. Sorry.
No worries. So Ms. Pasteur, then did you happen to look at any of the denial paperwork?
No, I was not provided with the denial paperwork. When she told me that she had been denied, this was around the time that I'd taken over the case, and the previous worker wasn't provided with that either.
Okay. So you're not aware if perhaps there's something she should be getting from her doctor at this doctor's visit that would help her with her reapplication for Social Security disability?
It's probably beneficial for her to keep the after visit summary paperwork, and maybe even have a written letter from the doctor explaining her disability and how it affects her. I don't think it could hurt for her application.
All right. Ms. Garcia and Mr. Rodriguez's housing is appropriate for them for now, correct?
Correct.
And you said parenting times have been much more consistent and they go well, correct?
Correct.
Is there anything at this point in time that you're asking Ms. Garcia to do that she has not been compliant with?
Maintaining her consistency with the YWCA, her mental health, as well as addressing the domestic violence issues that have come up in the past between her and Mr. Rodriguez are really important. And that's something that I just haven't seen over this report. Well, over the time I've had the case. She typically attends like one session per month at least, but I have yet to see a month where she's attended all of them. And I think obviously they've been more consistent with parenting times, staying consistent with this parenting class. I do think potentially another class after this one would also be beneficial. And again, her health, her personal health, I think is something that she really needs to address. And obviously I can't, make doctor's appointments for her. I can't force her to go to the doctor. So addressing that is really important. Something that they were working on in supportive visitation was Miss Garcia had been reporting she was like sleepwalking, and she was like walking out the front door, like almost into the street. So they were working on a real life scenario, like, well, what if Sophia was to follow you? Like, you're sleepwalking, obviously you can't address that. So like that's a concern. I know as children, we typically like to follow our parents. So if she did see her mom walk out the door, she might want to go with her.
So is that something else you've maybe suggested that she talk to her doctor about, the fact that she's sleepwalking?
We did talk about it in the FTM, as well as, again, it was being addressed in supportive visitation. When I was talking about it earlier,
I'm sorry, I'm going to have to interrupt again. Mr. Rodriguez, it appears you're driving. I need you to pull over in a safe place, and you need to stay stationary. Okay, go ahead.
Okay. So many of the things you just listed are in progress, and Ms. Garcia has made steps in these directions as far as, you know, getting the appointment with her doctor, attending with more consistency for her parenting time, going to the parenting classes that have been set up. You're just really looking for her to maintain that and be even more consistent. Specifically, it sounds like with the why counseling, which has probably been her, I don't want to say like least, maybe her least successful, I guess, component of the things that you're asking her to do. Is that fair to say?
Yes. But the case has been open for about a year now, and we still have yet to see that consistency. So that's where some of the concern is lying.
Sure. Your recommendation at this point from your report was that the goal actually remain reunification at this time.
But a 90-day warning be issued, which means that we are considering looking at terminating parental rights.
Sure. But are you saying that basically when you say 90 days warning, are you thinking really that reunifications should stay the goal as stated in your report, but that we really examine this next 90-day period, because if things aren't going well in this 90-day period, you would be changing a recommendation to a termination recommendation?
Correct.
Okay. So you're not asking for a termination hearing for it to happen 90 days from now?
No.
Okay. Thank you. I have no other questions at this time.
All right, thank you. Mr. Toburin.
Thank you, Your Honor. Ms. Pastor, regarding Mr. Rodriguez, he is working as or for a roofing company, correct?
Correct. And we have been discussing that. He told me that he wanted a different job around the beginning of September, and he's still working at the roofing company. I told him if he needed any help, I'm able to assist him in looking for employment. He said he wanted to go through like a temp agency, but it doesn't appear that he's done that yet.
Do you know is he looking for a temp job to kind of cover him through the winter and then return to the roofing job, or a completely new job?
To my knowledge, a new job entirely.
Okay. Are you able to provide him the name and or contact number of some temp agencies?
Absolutely.
Okay. Do you know, I guess on that same question, do you know whether he is familiar with applying through a temp agency and how that process might work?
Yes, to my knowledge, he's previously been employed through temp agencies before.
And he's currently been working quite a few hours, including overtime, correct?
Correct. But we've discussed previously that it is important that he does participate in his services. Obviously, we do want him to work, be able to continue putting food on the table, keeping the roof over the heads. But this has been an ongoing issue where the job might interfere with some of the services he's supposed to be doing. And it's just been too long and too much inconsistency. You
don't mean inconsistency in terms of work history. You mean that's causing other challenges?
Interferences with him making progress in the case.
And is there, if he wanted to, do you know if he could return to the roofing job in the spring?
I would assume so, yes.
Is that something we could look into, considering it seems to be a good job that provides a pretty decent income when you factor in the overtime?
That's something that we can discuss, yeah.
And is there a way to, I guess, it seems a little bit unfair. Would you agree to tell him, well, you need to work less so you can do your services? I mean, is there a way to work around this so he can, I mean, he needs to provide an income for his family, correct?
Correct. And we're not asking him to work less. We're just asking him to find a job that's a better suited schedule. So he can fit the services in that he needs to do. Because that has been the issue, is that his schedule is rather inconsistent. Sometimes he could get out at 2 o'clock. It could start raining. He might not work that day at all. Sometimes he gets out at like 7 o'clock at night. So that not knowing, but having pre-scheduled like appointments with the YWCA for his group, parenting class, which again, he's been consistent with, and parenting times and stuff like that. There has been interferences in the past and he still hasn't been able to be consistent with his group at the YWCA. And part of why he hasn't been attending AA was because of his job as well.
Okay, but you can work with him on, okay, you can work with him on, I guess, making that contact with the temp agency.
Correct.
Okay. In terms of your 90-day warning, what do you mostly want him to, Mr. Rodriguez, to focus on this next report period?
Same thing as Miss Garcia. I want him to be consistent. He needs to go to group, every week. Obviously life happens, and if he's sick or something comes up, it happens. But like, consistency is key. Continuing to maintain consistency with his parenting times, and finishing out that parenting class, which he does seem to be doing well in currently. And I am concerned about this arrest and these charges, as I'm not aware what they are and what that could mean for the future. Because he is out on bond, so that could potentially mean he might be going back, which would interfere with the case as well and his progress.
Safe to say, regarding the arrest, at this point, you don't know anything other than the fact that he was arrested?
When I looked it up, it lists that there was 3 charges, and it listed the bond amount for all 3 charges, but it didn't list what the specific charges were.
Okay. Okay, thank you, Your Honor. I have no further questions.
Thank you. Ms. Van Dyken, any follow-up?
No follow-up, Your Honor.
All right. Ms. Jennings, any follow-up?
Nothing further, Your Honor. Thank you.
Ms. Van Dyken, any further witnesses?
No other witnesses or evidence, Your Honor.
All right. Ms. Jennings, any witnesses?
No witnesses, Your Honor.
Mr. Toburin?
No, thank you.
All right. Statements.
Thank you, Your Honor. I think the recommendation is appropriate, although it's a little odd. Parents are always on notice that termination of parental is available if they don't complete their parent agency treatment plan, engage, and benefit from the same. So a 90-day warning is given to them every time we're in court. It's a warning that they need to engage and benefit from services. The child has just been in care for just a little under a year, so I would ask that the court continue the current goal for reunification at the next report, and then the next hearing be made a permanency planning hearing as well. I have met with my client. She is doing fabulously in foster care, and it's meeting all of her needs. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Jennings?
Your Honor, I think that the goal at this point in time to remain reunification is appropriate, and so I'd ask the court to follow that. My client has a GAL normally, but sometimes things take a little bit longer for her. She needs a little bit extra help with things. And so I'd ask that the agency continue to make, a little extra efforts when it comes to assisting her. Like, I appreciate that they're going to try and change to maybe Teams if Zoom is difficult for her, for some of her counseling sessions. Hopefully that will help. But also, so many of her things also relate to her medical condition. If, they could be very specific with her for things that she might need in order to get her Social Security disability set up, which would help her resource availability and their housing situation even further, and give her maybe some independence, if it's ever needed to be able to sustain herself. With regard to her medical appointments, and like really maybe assisting her in that regard with what she'll need to get from those medical appointments. I just ask that the agency continue to kind of give some extra support in those regards. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Toburin.
Thank you, Your Honor. I think the recommendation is appropriate. I would just, regarding my client, Mr. Rodriguez, I know it's a challenge with the services that he needs to complete. On the flip side, he's the only parent working and providing income, and I know in roofing they try to work a lot in the summer and get their overtime and income and all that. So if there's just a way to, I guess, continue to help him do both as well as possible. I'd hate to see him lose the income. But I get it as well that the services need to be completed. But overall, I think the recommendation is appropriate. Thank you.
All right, thank you. The court finds that the lawyer guardian ad litem has complied with the requirements of the statute, that returning this child to a parent today would cause a substantial risk of harm to the child's life, physical health, or mental well-being, that the child should not be returned to a parent today, that the agency should not initiate proceedings to terminate parental rights to this child, because frankly, Ms. Garcia needs a little additional time and more accommodations for her disability. That reasonable efforts have been made to preserve and reunify the family, make it possible for this child to safely return home. Those reasonable efforts for unification should be continued. In accordance with the statute, progress towards alleviating or mitigating the conditions that caused this child to remain in temporary foster care has not been made by either parent. The child's continued placement is necessary and appropriate, is meeting this child's needs. This child's needs can be met in a foster family home. That reasonable efforts have been made to finalize the court-approved permanency plan of return to a parent. That permanency planning goal continues to be appropriate. That the department, foster home, or institutional placement has followed the reasonable, prudent parenting standard, and the child has had reasonable opportunities to engage in age developmentally appropriate activities. The court orders that this child continue in the protective and temporary custody of the court, continue placement with the Department for Care and Supervision, that the adjudicated respondents comply with and benefit from the case service plan. Parents continue to sign any and all necessary releases that are requested by MDHHS. That parenting time of both parents is at the discretion of the agency to allow unsupervised or supervised parenting time by its designee. And I'm sorry, I just looked at my order from last time. Was a trauma assessment ever completed?
Yeah, I do believe it was attached with the report at the last hearing. Okay. Because it was completed prior to that. Okay,
all right. Then I will delete that from the order since that's been done. I will continue the attorneys in this matter. I will just indicate to the parents, you are, I guess, under a warning that the next 3 months, if we don't see substantial progress from both of you, that we will be moving ahead with a termination hearing. So the court is giving you an additional 3 months before moving on to that stage. But if we don't see progress, things are going to start moving rapidly after that. And Ms. Gibson, do we have a date for a permanency planning hearing in 3 months?
Yes, Your Honor, December 23 at 10 a.m.
Any conflict with that date or time?
Not for me.
No, Your Honor.
All right, we will see you then, and I hope to see that the parents have made progress. Substantial.